Welcome back to another episode of Servant Leadership Library, where we believe leadership isn't about climbing the ladder, it's about holding it steady for someone else. I'm your host, Nicholas Paulukow, CEO of One to One, a managed IT and cybersecurity company. Around here, we spend our days protecting businesses from hackers, ransomware, and people who still think password 123 is a strong password. Today, I'm joined by someone who made a career out of connecting with people, building community, and championing the incredible organizations that make Lancaster County such a special place. Our guest, Erica Brandt, is a community-minded marketer, volunteer, speaker, mentor, and lifelong learner who has a passion for uplifting the people and places around her. If you've spent any time in Lancaster businesses or nonprofit community, chances are you've either met Erica or worked with Erica or know someone who's been positively impacted by Erica. We're going to talk about leadership, community, mentorship, personal growth, and what it really means to serve others while building meaningful relationships along the way. So grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and let's turn the page on another chapter of Servant Leaders Library. So for those, Erica, that may not know you, tell us a little bit about your journey, what led you to where you're at today.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me on the podcast.
Absolutely.
It's
We're
a real
excited today.
honor. Yeah, it's an honor, and I appreciate being considered for this and being able to sit down and talk with you and
Absolutely.
talk about all things Lancaster. So I can share my career journey and history. I've always known I wanted to be in some form of marketing, communications,
Okay.
PR
Okay.
outreach. So I think that may be slightly uncommon. I know a lot of people kind of go to college with one major and switch along the way, which works out, but I have always known I've wanted
Wow.
this community, people-oriented, brand-building type of path.
Where'd that start?
Pre-high school even.
Really?
I remember in high school, for our senior project, I think a lot of schools probably still do this. We had to do a career research project.
Okay.
And if you look back at that project, I said I wanted to work in
Wow.
communications. So here I am almost 20 years later.
What a visionary bringing that to life, right?
Yeah, still in the industry, and still wanting to work in the industry.
Wow.
So I think that's really neat.
That's amazing. Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about the journey of you said you wanted this from grade school, right?
Yeah,
And so
long
what
time.
path did you take
Yeah.
and kind of what roles were you in during that period of time?
Absolutely. So, completed high school, went to Penn State and majored
Okay.
in advertising and public relations.
Okay.
Had an incredible experience, which, I'll touch on this later as we get into mentorship, but my mentor at Penn State is still my mentor to this day.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, and is extremely, his name is Bob Martin, and I'll talk about the impact he had on me, but he works within the College of Communications where I
Okay.
graduated from, and you can ask any student who has come through that college, and they will say he has made an impact on their life.
Wow.
So an incredible mentor that I still talk to this day that is
Wow.
just, well known by everyone and has positively helped so many people. So went to Penn State, had an incredible experience there, had great professors that I still talk to, a great mentor, worked a variety of internships.
Okay.
I worked with the athletic department. I worked for a local radio station, which was
Wow.
phenomenal. Got out and about. I was a community team member.
Okay.
So when I look back on my career, I'm thinking a lot of this started, I was doing these things at 21 and 22, not realizing that this would be the path that I would continue on.
Yeah. Wow.
And I am. So worked for an incredible locally owned radio station. The team that ran it was just fantastic. I was a community outreach team member. So we
Okay.
would do remotes, go out and promote local businesses,
Okay.
talk about what they were doing in the community. It was the perfect internship. Had a phenomenal experience in the athletic department. I stayed there for a few semesters, and then I interned with the grad school at Penn State.
Wow.
And I did their PR and writing for a lot of their
Okay.
various publications. So I got those really good experiences as an undergrad,
Wow.
I think that's important. And I also did a communications internship when I was in high school. This is
Wow.
probably something to note too. So my school had a co-op program.
Okay.
So I could take the classes you needed to graduate, your English, your math, your phys ed, and then I had the rest of the day free to take electives, but they also had an option where you could go work. during that
Oh,
time.
wow.
So, I thought about it and I was like, I'm gonna, go out, get some work experience and just really make the most of this. So I interned in high school as well.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so 4 internships, pre-graduation.
Wow,
So
overachiever.
thanks. I think that's still carried through to yeah.
Till today.
Again, that's like who I was then is who I am now.
Aw.
But incredible experience. So graduated Penn State. I've been really blessed. I've had a wonderful marketing career. I'm thankful for every opportunity I've been given. I've worked in nonprofits. I've worked in digital.
Wow.
I've worked in healthcare. I've worked for large corporations, and I've worked for offices where I was a team of 5.
Wow.
So, just really interesting experiences. And again, thinking back to my life and who I was 10, 15 years ago and what I'm doing now, I think that those experiences all set me up for where I'm at. When I look at my career and think about the things I did, going to Penn State, the internships I worked, I always, for as long as I can remember, have wanted to be part of a big group.
Mm.
I loved the idea of meeting different people, working in different industries, working for different types of businesses. And I think that's really carried over to a lot of the community work that I've done through my
I see.
jobs
I
and
see.
in my personal life as well.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's delve a little bit into this mentor. So, I mean, that's pretty selfless of
Yep.
that individual. What would you say was so wonderful about the mentorship? Like, what did he provide? How do you still have that great connection with him today?
So, as I said before, my mentor, his name is Bob Martin. He's the assistant dean at the Penn State College of Communications. And I remember meeting him. We first met. I had him as a professor for one of my classes. And we first, connected through that. And then his role at Penn State is as students are looking for internships, as students are looking for careers, he sits down with them, talks to them,
I see.
and connects them to other alumni.
I see.
So, just incredible. In my undergrad career, as I was thinking about what I wanted to do post-graduation, really helped me navigate that path, and talk about different job opportunities, different geographic locations. They do a lot of job fairs at Penn State. It's a
I
neat
see.
experience.
Okay.
So they take one of the fairs I participated in actually takes buses of students up to New York City
Wow, that's neat.
to meet with ad agencies and these really cool big brands and interview with them. So, I participated in all of that. And then since, I've been out of college roughly 15 years at this point, Bob and I have always kept in touch. I've always talked to him throughout my career journey as a job opportunities become available or as I've taken on a new position. And he's always been there. He's always made the time and answered. And this is what I think is so important about Bob, and any Penn State student will tell you this. He always makes the time to answer. He has answered every email I've ever sent, no matter how busy he is,
Wow.
what he has going on. He always answers. He always checks in, and he does that for every student.
Wow.
It's truly, the work he does is truly meaningful, and it, in my opinion, made my Penn State experience.
Wow.
And then as I've grown in my career, it's kind of come full circle, and I've always said I wanted to pay it forward. The mentorship that he gave me, I wanted to give, and other Penn State leaders as well. I connected with a lot of great alumni as I was navigating the early stages of my career, and I always said I want to be the person that does that. So now with the stage of the career that I'm in, Bob has come to me and said, hey, I have this student who wants to work in marketing. I've kind of helped, give advice or talk to them about jobs or bring them to networking events with
Wow.
me and kind of just
Passing on
really
that mentorship.
passed it on. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we hear a lot about marketing, right?
Yep.
So tell us the difference between what you think different sales and marketing, right?
Yeah.
So what is the difference? Because
Yeah.
some are like, well, sales and marketing is combined.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Can you demystify that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So to me, marketing is really about brand building. That's my take on
Mm.
marketing. I also see marketing, especially in Lancaster, as being about community presence.
Mm.
I think a lot of people in this area would agree with that.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Like brand within the community, or
I think brand within the community, and I think showing up. When I
Wow.
think about the businesses, there are so many incredible businesses and leaders in this community. There are too many to name, in my opinion. And when I think about the businesses that I enjoy interacting with, the businesses that I look up to, there's one common thread between all of them, and it's everyone is coming together and supporting one another. So it's if you're hosting a cook-off event this Saturday, or if you're hosting a nonprofit type of benefit, you will see so many of these businesses sending their people out, having people that volunteer. I just think there's this incredible sense
like
of
a culture.
community.
Yeah.
This community culture in Lancaster that is certainly present in other areas, but I think that's what
It's
makes
really ingrained here.
Lancaster.
I see.
Yeah. So to me, marketing, a big part of marketing is building that brand, showing other businesses, potential employees, customers that you're committed to the community. And I think sales is a bit more specific, I would say. A sales type of role is more specific. Certainly that can be part of it, but you're selling your services and you're representing your services. And to me, marketing is part of that, but marketing is also about what are you doing to show that you're impacting the greater community.
I see.
Mhm.
Let's talk about that a little bit more. Like, let's talk about a defining moment, maybe when kind of like serving others, as you
Mhm.
talked about, that just became kind of part of your career.
Absolutely. So I can pinpoint it. I've always had this in my career and I've always tried to help where it could, but I can really track it to the formation of the Central PA American Marketing Association
Really?
chapter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah. Central PA.
For marketing,
I know. And marketing, so there's so many acronyms in marketing. I've worked in healthcare, I've worked in marketing. There's so many acronyms in those industries. But it's the AMA, the American Marketing Association, the
Okay.
Central PA chapter. I remember the chapter started roughly 3 years ago, and there's an incredible group of people that were involved in the formation of the chapter and that have carried it on to this
I
day.
see.
And with the formation of that chapter, it really brought together a group of people in Central PA that were interested in professional development, community building, talking about marketing for the good of the profession, not
I
just
see.
to go in and sell their service
I see.
in particular. And as I started to become involved with that chapter, I made different connections. And a lot of the mission and goal of that chapter is to provide mentorship, professional development to professionals at any stage of their
Right.
career. But I think it's really needed. So much of what I hear is that this younger generation that's just starting their career, coming out of college, with I think the pandemic and some things like that, I think that in-person mentorship that a lot of us that came before them had doesn't exist.
Right.
So the AMA really works to bridge that gap, to put on networking events, job
Okay.
opportunities, and I just really jumped into it, got involved with the chapter, and the rest is history.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. Let's talk about kind of like serving from a definition. So like servant leadership to you, what is the definition? What does it mean to you personally?
Servant leadership to me is about putting others and the good of the community above yourself, above a specific role or title, and it's about lifting others up along the way.
That's a great definition. I like it. I like it.
Thanks.
Now, has there been someone that's modeled this for you in your career, or like, was it early in your career? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had fantastic coworkers along the way. I try to keep in touch with everyone at every job I've ever had, former employers, coworkers, that kind of thing. I've seen it in a lot of people throughout my career. So it's hard to really pinpoint one person in particular in my professional career. But I think so many businesses, especially in recent years, if you look at these past few years, the leaders I've met through the AMA, the leaders I've met through these Lancaster organizations in the community, your nonprofits, your chamber, all of these organizations that are dedicated to supporting businesses in the city. I just think there are too many great leaders to name. And as I've seen different people speak at events or share their experiences, I've just taken some of that away with me and just kind of build out my own definition of a mentor or leader.
I see. You're really drawn to those organizations and have kind of that culture, it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how, from your career, did you notice that was a really big interest and you went to seek out organizations that you wanted to work for? Or how did you go about that process?
Yeah, so I would say it just evolved with my career. So earlier in my career, I wasn't as involved. I think early 20s in your initial roles, you're just kind of figuring out what you want to do career
Right.
wise, where you want to be located, what type of role is your ideal role, what type of company you want to work for. But I would say in the past, probably roughly 3 to 4 years,
Okay.
I had an opportunity through my previous job to really become involved in the community. So that was certainly a wonderful
Okay.
experience and
So
helped
you really
me.
like that part.
Yeah,
From a
love that
marketing
part.
standpoint, you love like the community outreach and whatnot.
Community outreach. From a marketing standpoint, community outreach to me is an incredibly smart marketing strategy. I've worked in digital. I think digital's fantastic. There's a lot you can do with digital and there's a need for it. But again, just going back to our conversation about Lancaster, I just think community outreach is key
How
here.
do you measure that? As you're working for an
Yeah,
organization and there's always measurements and metrics and
yeah,
everything,
yeah.
like how would you say you measure that?
Yeah. So I think a few ways to measure community outreach are take a look at client retention, obviously tracking different connections from events. So if you're looking to implement a community outreach strategy, I think keeping a record of what you're attending, what you're sponsoring, who you're connecting with, how it relates to your business. Are people calling for an appointment or
Mhm.
filling out a form, things like that. So I think that's the way that you can track it in a more technical
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
Look at client retention, look at brand visibility. When you're out and about, how do people see your
Do they
brand?
know
Do
you?
they know you?
Mhm.
And if they know you, what do they know about you? Look at things like that. And then to me, and again, this is just kind of my philosophy of leadership and community. I think a big piece of community engagement is how is your organization represented in the community? Do people see you giving back? Do people see you building the area around you where you work, you live, you spend your free time? Do
Right.
people see you contributing to that? And I
And do you
think
say
that's
that works
meaningful.
for every business, like a service business to a manufacturer? Like, is that something that you see works across industry specific or just certain
Yeah,
ones?
that's a great question. So I think there's a way to apply it to every industry. Again, being in this super local area, but I think especially for service related businesses, that's so
Mm.
important. If someone is buying a service from you or looking for something that's what in marketing a lot of times is referred to as intangible. So you have a tangible product, excuse me, something like this cup here. And that's something that people can purchase for X dollars
Sure.
and physically have. But if you're selling a service, if you want people to buy into what you're offering and who you are, I think that community piece is especially
Mm.
important because a lot of service businesses have, customer service or customer relations representatives. They are very people focused. So I think before someone will make a purchase and select you, they need to know that your team is people focused,
Right.
that your team cares, that your team's
Right.
invested in them as well.
Well, and it sounds like that goes more even into your digital, right?
Yep.
So digital would be more people faces
Yep.
and community and event driven. Okay, that's interesting. So, kind of going back to leadership lessons a little bit, is there one lesson that you would love to share to us so that we can learn
Yep.
that you learned the hard way?
Mhm. Oh, that's an interesting one. Um,
He's like, man, I don't want to share that one.
yeah. And I'm thinking what's a good one to kind of learn from? I wouldn't say I learned this the hard way, but something that I've taken away from in my career in leadership in general is that in my opinion, leadership isn't always about title. Sure, you have to have titles.
Right.
You have to have people that are the president or the CEO or the face of the organization. But I think with leadership, oftentimes other people see you as a leader before you see yourself as one. So maybe you don't have, I've never had a CEO title, for example. So maybe I've never had that title, but so many people around me have come to me for advice, have come to me for
Mm,
help, have come to me for those, really elevated leadership types of
mm,
things. I just haven't had the title in particular,
right.
but I've been seen that way by my peers and my
I
people
see.
around me.
Like as a good mentor and leader.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
I love it. Okay.
yeah.
And so let's talk about kind of back to business success, right?
Mhm,
So how do you balance from like a marketing perspective,
mhm.
achieving business objectives
Sure.
but still kind of putting people first?
That's an interesting one too. Well, I think having clear business objectives is always helpful. So you can keep an eye on where you're going and what the goals are. So in any of the marketing roles I've worked in, and many businesses go through this, you set your objectives every year, or every few years, that kind of thing. So I think keeping those in mind so you don't lose focus along the way. But I think also keeping in mind that people help to drive those objectives.
Mm-hmm.
So in any type of business, maybe you're looking to increase website traffic by 20%, or you're looking to increase sales by 20%. Yes, you need to keep those business objectives in mind and take a look at how you're working towards them. But people are helping to increase your website traffic. People are helping to increase your sales. So how are you reaching those things if you keep your head just on business objectives? And this is true with any form of marketing. If you're not thinking about engaging copy on your digital ads, if you're not thinking about being out and about in the community, if you're not thinking about designing marketing and sales collateral that really answers the questions people are looking for, you won't be able to hit those objectives. So it's kind of a balance of thinking about what the end user wants and needs, and then thinking about how that can help you work towards that goal.
I like it. So what qualities do you think that are missing kind of from today's leaders?
The biggest thing I hear when I'm out and about, and I think this is just the modern workplace in general, is that people and face-to-face interaction are missing. I've heard this from so many people at every stage of their career. A lot of recent graduates, I've heard this feedback from them. But I think leaders, I'm
Expand on that a little bit more, meaning that it's like remote work, or
remote
they don't
work,
see their manager.
they're not seeing their manager. And I
Okay.
think this is true. This isn't a workplace situation that's specific to leadership, but a lot of young entry-level professionals are telling me I'm in a hybrid role or I'm in a fully remote role. I've never met my manager, or I've met my manager twice. I
Wow.
don't know my teammates. It's just a different world with the workplace these past few years. So you have that audience saying those things. And then I've been in my professional career roughly 15 years at this point. I have peers coming to me that are in a similar stage of their career that are saying, I'm missing my coworkers.
Right.
They worked in person going
Right,
back
that
to
interaction.
pre-COVID.
Yeah.
If you worked in the 2000s or 2015 or something like that, it was all, for the most part, it was in
all
person.
in person. Absolutely.
So, I think for a long time when we went hybrid or when we went remote, it was great. And I have worked in every type of role. I think there are fantastic benefits to hybrid work. I fully believe in that. But I think the common thread that I'm seeing with whoever I talk to is that in-person, face-to-face relationship building is missed. Because when you don't have that, in my personal opinion, miscommunication is more likely to happen.
Right.
I think people can feel disconnected from their team, from their boss, from their peers. And I
Right.
think there's just so
Less
much there's
collaboration and
less
energy and all of that.
collaboration. You become more siloed. I think, if you're remote and you're working at home, and again, that works for some people. I'm a very big believer in work-life balance, and I have friends who are new parents, and that type of a situation is really good for them. But I think, with face-to-face, it's so easy for you and I to go back and forth over email and maybe
Right.
have a misunderstanding and both walk
Right.
away not quite sure what happened. But I think if we're in the office together and I can come in and sit down with
Right.
you and say, hey, this is the situation, these are my thoughts, just, things are resolved so much
Right.
more
Just
easily.
communication's easier.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So kind of getting back to Lancaster again.
Yep.
What's something unique about Lancaster that outsiders may not fully appreciate?
Yeah. The food. So I would say the food, I think the culture in Lancaster is phenomenal. And I think we're so lucky. Something I love about Lancaster County is this city and this county can be whatever you want it to be. If you want to support downtown businesses and downtown restaurants, you can. If you want to live in a more rural part of the county, you can. If you want to go to a farmer's market every Saturday, you can. There's so many options, and I just think it's so unique. And I have to say, I have, so many friends. One of my best friends lives in DC. And another one of my college roommates and best friends lives outside of New York and New Jersey. And they come to visit and they love it. And I'm not just saying this because this is a Lancaster. I'm not just saying this because it's a Lancaster podcast. But when they come to Lancaster, they're like, this is such an incredible place to be. It's small enough that you can still be plugged in and know people, but you have enough options that it feels like a bigger city. And you have these fine dining restaurants downtown, or you can walk to Central Market and get a cup of
Right.
coffee and a baked good. You have so many options. Lancaster to me isn't any one thing, but I
Right.
think that's what makes Lancaster
It's got
Lancaster.
a small little ecosystem there.
It's a small ecosystem. It's a small, major metro area, small New York City, a small DC,
Right.
and it's just really incredible. And I think what's so special about Lancaster is that it's smaller enough that all of the businesses and leaders in this community, we can all still make an impact because it is this size.
Right. Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. I love it. Getting back to leaders, since you mentioned that, though, what's kind of the best advice that you've ever received?
Say yes to every opportunity. You have to sleep. Yeah.
You have to sleep.
You have to sleep. You have to make time for health and wellness. Say yes to every opportunity. So I have really done that throughout my career. So any internship, any professional role type of thing that I thought was something I was remotely interested in, I
Okay.
took it and thought, what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
And I think sometimes people are scared to jump, and that's completely understandable. You never know what someone's situation is or
That
circumstances.
fear is growth,
or-
though, when
Yeah.
you do that, right?
Fear is growth. And the best opportunities I've had in my career and my life are when I've taken these really just these leaps. When I've taken a job that I said, you know what, I think I would be good at this. I feel I have the skills. I feel I want this. And then I took it. And I said,
Yeah.
what's the worst that can
You
happen?
go through the pain of learning.
You go through the pain of learning. And in my life and my journey, saying yes to these different opportunities, the same thing with volunteering, serving on boards, speaking engagements, anything like that, this would be my advice to leaders of any level, anything like that someone comes to you and offers to give you or wants you to be a part of, say yes to it. You may be afraid of public speaking. You may feel like it's not your best thing, but if someone comes to you and says, I see you as a fit for this,
Right.
say yes. What's the worst that can happen? If someone comes to you and says, I'd love you to serve on my board or committee, say yes. If someone comes to you and says, I'm hosting an event this Saturday, will you come support my business?
Right.
Say yes. And those opportunities just create more opportunity. They create more connections and just help you evolve.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So that was advice that you were given.
Mhm.
So now what's the best advice that you've given somewhere?
Be visible. Don't be afraid of going to face-to-face events. So as I do, as I mentor and as I just talk to different young professionals, again, kind of going back to this different era that we're in with hybrid and remote work, the advice I've given to anyone, first of all, if you're looking for a job, be out and about, be visible. There are certainly situations where you may have a dream tech company in mind that's out of state or something like that. But I think if you're looking to work in a smaller community, Central PA in particular, it's about being a part of the community and who you meet. If you're in a job, don't give that up. Certainly, when you're working and navigating a new job, you may have to be more mindful of your time and you may not have the opportunity to go to a networking event every
Right.
night, but don't drop that off along the way.
Right.
And I think a lot of different people, as I've talked to them throughout my career, they've said things to me like, oh, I used to go to so many networking events when I was 25 and now I just don't make the time for it. Be present, have that consistency. Certainly there are different stages of life where, you may not have as much
The
time for that.
networking looks different now.
Networking looks
Yeah.
different now, but stay present. If you get a job, if you're out and about at a lot of networking events and you finally obtain a position, don't drop off. Still come
Right.
out to events, still become involved. And I think just building that consistency is really important as
I
well.
love it.
Mhm.
How about is there like a book, podcast, resource
Mhm.
that significantly influenced you from a leadership perspective?
Yeah, there are too many to name. I love reading autobiographies.
Okay.
As far as books go, I think autobiographies are incredible. Leaders across any type of industry. I think the best way to learn is to learn from others' successes and others' mistakes. And I think just learning how people build businesses or thinking about really historic brands in this country that have been incredibly successful. How did they build that successful organization? How did someone scale a business? I love podcast-wise. I love listening to anything about entrepreneurship. Female leadership is incredible. I think Betsy Ham, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. She's a mentor of mine. She's been a mentor to me and has become a friend of mine. She does a fantastic podcast about female leadership.
Wow, that's amazing.
I highly recommend, but anything around entrepreneurship, female leaders, finances. So this is something that's really interesting. So I think financial wellness is a big part of career success. And I think it's something that's not talked about. And I think there's just a lack of, there's always been not a lack of information, but I think it's just been something it's been assumed that people know about financial wellness, but it's never been talked about. And I've listened to so many great podcasts about financial wellness, and how you show up at work is often impacted by your finances. If you have medical debt or a big bill that's looming, you're going to be sitting at your office and you're going to be thinking about that. So I think that's an interesting thing that ties into careers that no one talks about a lot, but I think that's an important part of setting a foundation, having a good career, showing up for other people,
I like that.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
What's something that the listeners might be surprised to learn about you?
Surprised to learn about me? I'm a big traveler. I love traveling, and I am a big live music person.
Really?
I
Okay.
love pretty much any type of music. I have seen every type of musical act you can imagine, and I'm open to any recommendations that the audience has of new artists I should check out. But love all kinds of music, love live music, love travel, and I also just got into golf.
All right.
So that's been a journey.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Yeah. But it's setting you up. It's setting me up for leadership, resilience,
Yes.
know.
Yeah. Resilience is a good word. So you were talking about the love of Lancaster County.
Yeah.
What's a hidden gem that you'd like to tell everybody about?
Hidden gem to tell everyone about. Ooh, that's a tough one.
Could be maybe food location.
That's what I'm thinking about. There's so many. I wouldn't say any of these are hidden gems, but I think the Rock Lidditz area and what they're doing in that space, and the restaurants up there per diem, I think incredible. I think any of the businesses downtown in the city, say La Vie's fantastic, the Belvedere, Luca, Lombardo's is close
got
to
a
me. Love
revamp.
Lombardo's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think those are some of the more well-known places in Lancaster. I will give listeners a tip on one of my favorite farmers markets that may be a hidden gem. So I don't know if anyone's ever been to Harvest Lane Market. It's up towards Lidditz.
Okay.
But yeah, so maybe it's a hidden gem.
Oh, that's a hidden gem. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
I have to check that out.
Yeah, so it's a local market. They carry a lot of produce. They carry a lot of Lancaster brands.
Wow, that's
You'll
great.
see Fox Meadows ice cream in there. You'll see,
who doesn't love Fox Meadows?
yeah. You'll see local breads, Tom's, like that kind of thing.
Great.
Local produce. You can pick flowers. I think that they're a great one. Cherry Hill too for
Yes,
produce
Cherry Hill's
picking.
is a great one.
Yeah. So that may not be as much of a hidden gem, but I think that those are fantastic as well. Oh, and if there are any wine drinkers listening, Vine Wine Bar, if you haven't been to it.
Okay.
Incredible. So it's on Prince Street in the city, coming into the city a bit more, and they sell imported Italian wines, really high quality, thoughtfully curated wines, have fantastic relationships with the various producers, have a really cool in-store space, offer a lot of classes, different dinners, events, that kind of thing. But fantastic small business making change in this community.
Wow, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
If we kind of segue again back to leadership, right?
Yeah.
As we start to wind down for today, what's one word that describes to you like a great leader?
Yeah. Selfless.
Yeah. Love it. I love
Selfless.
it. And is have you experienced that in your career?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have they been more of your mentors then too?
So I would say I've experienced it, as mentors in my career, but in different positions that I've worked in as well. And I just think, being selfless is incredible. I talked about some great mentors I've had on this podcast. And I think something I will want listeners to keep in mind is you can be that mentor. So I started my career looking at these incredible people who helped me along the way, who were selfless, who made time for me, who answered my email, who answered my question. And when I was, 15 years ago, just getting started, I always thought to myself, I want to be that person one day.
I see.
And just paying it
go-giver.
forward.
Yeah.
Paying it forward. Yeah. Some of the different professionals that I've been mentoring now, a few of them have asked me or said to me, like, how can I thank you for what you've done? And I said, pay it forward. 10 years from
Love it.
now,
There's
you
a
do
great
this.
book on that
You
called The
do this.
Go-Giver. You got to check
Ooh,
that out.
I'll have to check that. I'll
Yeah,
have to add
it's
that to my
exactly what
list.
you're talking about. It's
Yeah.
a quick read. You get that done quick.
Yeah.
So what's one thing that you hope that people would remember about you?
Yeah, I hope people remember my desire to build community and to positively impact the community.
Okay.
I hope people remember, my commitment. I do a lot in Lancaster, obviously, as we've talked about, but I still involved with a fair amount within Central PA. I have different
I see.
colleagues who have businesses or run businesses in York and Harrisburg, Mechanicsburg, so I still try to support them in their businesses. I want people to remember me as someone that if a friend or colleague needed a volunteer for an event, or if someone needed help with a fundraiser or whatever it may be, or if someone had a contact that's looking to get their career started in marketing, I want to be remembered as the person that made time or showed up for them.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Kind of in the marketing theme here. What do you think is the hardest thing in marketing?
There's a few there. I think. How much time do you have? If you're working in marketing and you like change, you're in the right place, because I think marketing is just moving so rapidly right now with technological advancements and the evolution of digital and the various platforms that support that. I think staying on top of that, specifically if you're in a digital space, I think that can keep you very involved and keep you on your toes a bit. I think ROI is the biggest thing in marketing. Anyone that's worked in marketing will tell you that. I think oftentimes with marketing, the case that's made or some of the questions that get asked about marketing are, what is the ROI?
Right.
And sometimes ROI isn't immediate. With digital ads, yes, it's immediate. You have impressions, you have clicks, you have leads, that kind of thing. But going back to some of what we talked about earlier, that brand building, some of those more traditional forms of marketing, billboards, events, the ROI may not be as immediate. But the thing that I always keep in mind and say is, you never know who's watching. So you may have a billboard up there today, or you may be out at an event today and say, I didn't talk to anyone, or I didn't get any sales leads, or, I don't know if that was worth our time. But you never know who you met in that room. And throughout my career, at the different businesses I've worked at, we've had clients that met us 10 times at an event before they reached out for more information. I mean, and that's just kind of the nature of marketing.
Yeah.
I might meet you today and need your services and call you tomorrow. I might meet you today and get to know you and then find out I need your services.
It's that consistency I'm hearing.
It's consistency, yeah.
I love it. That's great advice.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the big question of the day.
Yeah?
If your life were a book on the Servant Leadership Library, what would the title and the kind of the chapter of of the why, right? Like kind of just the title.
Yeah. What about the power of community?
Ooh, all right. I love it.
Power of community and connection.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm
that
thinking
was
through my
good one.
marketing.
I love it.
My marketing
It
brain
draws
right
me
now.
in. It doesn't give me enough, so that means I got to read into it.
Isn't the New York Times bestseller worthy title?
I don't know. Trademark infringement here.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do with it.
Let me look into this after the podcast. Yeah.
Erica, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
This has been great.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for what you do for the community, for hosting a podcast like this where other people can learn.
Absolutely.
This has been fantastic. Appreciate you. And to all the community organizations out there in Lancaster, I have too many favorites to name, but thank you to everyone for what you're doing to make Lancaster a better place. And people keep moving in. So we're doing the right thing.
I love it.
People visit, people are moving here. We're doing the right thing.
Well said. Preach it there.
But thank you to the Lancaster business community for always supporting me too.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Erica, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah.
And for sharing your insights, your experiences, and your heart for serving others.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. One of the things I love about these conversations is they remind us that leadership isn't always found in coffee or offices or boardrooms or fancy titles, as you mentioned. More often, it's found in the everyday moments and the encouragement we give, as you mentioned, the relationships that we build, and the communities we choose to invest in, as you mentioned, the wonderful Lancaster County. Erica has shown us that serving others isn't a side project, it's just a way of life. So, to our listeners, thank you for spending a part of your day with us. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, or just leave a review. It helps us continue bringing servant leaders and their stories to a wider audience. So I'm Nicholas Paulukow, CEO of One to One. We help organizations stay secure, productive, and protected in an increasingly digital world, as you mentioned, Erica. And importantly, believe in technology that serves others, right? And so until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and remember the best leaders aren't the ones with the most followers. They're the ones creating more leaders around them. So we'll see you next time on this chapter, A Servant Leadership Library.